Yes, I'm going to my writing because in my project 2029, and one day I'm going to go fully over this on stream, and we're going to go from there. Oh, by the way, you got to click this button. You got to go to creatingpower.com. You got to click upgrade to paid. You got to click $50 a month or $50 a year. Sorry. Or you got to click $5. No, you got to click $5 a month because that gets me more money. Yeah. You got to click $5 a month, and you got to do it now. Cool. Anyways, so Taiwan. Where are you, Taiwan? So here's what we need to do with China. This is my take. This is no one else's take. This is my take. We need to negotiate in, I'm reading from here, by the way, Asia policy. We need to negotiate an honorable peace, amity, and trade treaty with the People's Republic of China in such a way that ensures no major shooting war occurs in the Pacific Ocean for at least another 50 years. We also need to push for an end to the Chinese Civil War, which is still technically raging, by reconciling the governments of Taiwan and the People's Republic of China both together. The PRC should respect the right of Taiwan to self-determine and self-govern, established de facto through 75 years plus of self-rule. But at the same time, they must also reassimilate back into the suzerainty of the People's Republic of China, with their military, foreign affairs, and economic affairs placed back into the full control of the central government of China. And I also say here, this isn't related to Taiwan, but I do want to push for a unified Korean peninsula by the year 2100 by lifting up the North's economic status and by reconciling both Koreas and pushing both together in a spirit of mutual collaboration and unification. Who knows if any of that's possible? I certainly don't. What I do see happening is, let me go back to Google Maps. Maps. Because what I do see happening is, like, I don't think that, again, Comrade Xi Jinping, or however you want to call him, Xi, the premier of China, not the spring leader, the chairman, he's got a lot of titles. But as you can see here, couple things to keep in mind. One, Taiwan imports all of its energy, all of its food. Most of it from China, from mainland, but also all over the world. And China has now, well, you can look it up on a satellite, but all of these fuel import spots. So the fuel comes in on these large ships, like they do all over the world. And they get offloaded at ports. And then from those ports, they're then put on trucks or trains and delivered to wherever they need to go, to power plants, to gas stations, you know, your local Shell, your local Chevron. I don't know if they have Shell or Chevron there, but you get my point. Limited amount of ports, limited amount of fuel transmits, limited amount of trucks that China could, without even bombing them, just like create a naval blockade. So that's really here the ultimate risk, is because if Taiwan was put under a naval blockade, let me get Haifa out of here. Get that crap out of here. I don't want that Haifa shit no more. All right. Yeah, no, if Taiwan were to be under a naval blockade for, I want to say 2 months. 2 months of naval blockade, you would have massive blackouts. You wouldn't see starvation, but you would see blackouts. You would see the total collapse of infrastructure. Like, there would be no running trains. There would be no running water. Or there would be running water, but there wouldn't be, like, heated water. Like, it would be a complete catastrophe. And again, it's not to say that I endorse that specifically. I don't endorse anything. I'm just stating facts. If that is something that China chose to do, it would lead to a scenario where, instead of there being a sort of peaceful reintegration back into China, Taiwan instead is, you know, has to deal with all those negative externalities. And it is a war that the United States, if we chose to come in on the side of Taiwan, let's say, okay, let's do this. Let's game this out a little bit. So Taiwan puts, China puts Taiwan under blockade. Okay. The U.S. has bases in Guam, in Japan, in South Korea, and the Philippines. I believe the Philippines. Don't quote me on that. We also definitely have AUKUS. We love to see AUKUS. There's AUKUS. Beautiful AUKUS. Mwah! AUKUS. First, I want you to keep in mind the distance. We are talking about a distance here from Hawaii, which is our, I think, the best naval base that is closest to Taiwan is Hawaii. So the distance there, we are talking about a total distance of 5,000 miles. And you might be thinking, wait, we did that in World War II. That was easy. That was easy peasy. Well, I'm sure you've heard that the U.S. navies is having a lot of trouble fighting the Yemenis army in the Gulf of the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, or not the Gulf of the Red Sea, but just the Red Sea. So they're having a lot of trouble fighting Ansar Allah in the Gulf of Aden. So, like, the poorest nation on earth, and you're telling me they're going up against China? Sure. And the distance is just that much. Okay. But here's what would happen. All right, so Taiwan's under siege. Boom. And the U.S. joins. All of our bases, all of our air bases are going to get hit with missiles. The U.S. Navy and the Chinese Navy shoot each other, but because China is so much closer, like, they would just be able to send an unlimited amount of missiles, whereas we don't have enough ballistic missiles. Like, we do not have enough ballistic missiles. I'm not talking about nuclear ones. I'm talking about, hold on one second. Could you just leave that on the, I'll get it later. Thank you. Sorry, that was my food. And my girlfriend. Say hello, girlfriend, chat. Yeah, you don't have to say that. Cool. Anyways, so war happens. All of our bases get destroyed or get knocked out. All of our ships, they're, like I said, they have the benefit of being really close to this front, so they can just launch missiles from, like, Shenzhen or whatever. Meanwhile, we have no, like, ground-based missiles that can really hit China other than nuclear weapons, and we don't want this war to go nuclear. So, and I don't think it would go nuclear, to be clear, at least not at first. So already we are on the back foot, and you can look up all sorts of war games, and they'll that the U.S. has conducted, and third-party experts, and they all agree with what I'm saying here. So yeah, we would not be able to break the blockade. We would not be able to break the siege. And then if we look here to the north, because think about it, right? We are using South Korea to launch attacks on Chinese ships and Chinese shipping in this war scenario from South Korea. What do you think Kim Jong-un is going to do? What do you think Xi Jinping is going to do? I think it's very clear that what they're going to do. They're going to use the massive artillery that they have stockpiled here at the border and wipe out Seoul. From there, it's just a push through to Busan. And I think, unlike how his grandfather did it in 1950, I think that China and Korea in 2025 or 2027 or whenever this is theoretically going to happen, I think they take Busan. So now you're in a scenario, okay, where Taiwan's still under siege. Taiwan is still under blockade. South Korea is gone. It's now just Korea, taken over by North Korea. You've got Japan being hit by missiles and not being able to do much of anything, and airstrikes. The Philippines, if they join, they're also going to get hit. Vietnam would not join this war. It would be stupid of them to do it, but they could. But I highly doubt they would do it. I also doubt that Russia would be like, oh, maybe we can take more territory. No, that would be stupid of them. So yeah, it would be a very limited front war. And then it would just sort of be over from there because, you know, Taiwan can be starved and bombed in submission. And eventually, yeah, sure, you can land troops and take it. And then if the US and Japan still don't want peace, then you just, you land troops. Or, hell, you nuke Nagasaki and Hiroshima again, and there you have it. Endgame. And if the US still is like, no, we want peace, or peace through action, peace through arms, peace through force of arms, my friends. We shall never surrender! Then yeah, AUKUS goes next, then Hawaii, and then I think at that point World War III would happen, nukes, and everyone dies. So, this is ultimately my point, and what I wanted to raise with this whole spiel, this whole side tangent, is that we cannot defend Taiwan, even if you are a pro-Taiwan head. We physically, literally, do not have the military, the industrial, the political capacity, that's for sure, the economic capacity to fight China, a peer country, military-wise, at that scale. We would just lose. And not only would we lose, but potentially millions of people. South Korea would be annexed. And worst, for America's sake, Japan would be annexed, Australia would be annexed. It's the same reason why, like, I honestly think we could have done a better job with Ukraine. Like, it didn't need to devolve into a shooting war. I think there's some very obvious mistakes and mishaps that the Biden administration, and also going back to Obama and Trump too, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of criticisms to go around. But, okay, let's say you had a choice, right? Option one is this current universe that we are in right now. It's the universe where Russia and Ukraine are fighting each day. It's a universe where Ukraine is losing the war. Over 1 million people have died, at least according to estimates. Millions more wounded, millions more fled. Like, option one. Option two. There is no war. Things are sort of frozen still, but at least there's peace. Or, better yet, we come to a diplomatic solution, and on February 22nd, or 24th, yeah, on February 24th, 2022, instead of Russian tanks and, Russian special soldiers crossing the Crimean border, I actually saw that when it was happening live. I saw like Russia Special Division forces through a camera on the Ukrainian side of the border, like a crossing gate. I literally saw them, like, it was a camera that was taking pictures every, like, 10 seconds, so you could just see the soldiers sneak through the gate. It was, like, very surreal to be watching that in real time. So, yeah, option one is you have this real existing war. It's our universe. Option two is we somehow find a way to have peace. And on February 24th, 2022, instead of there being Russian tanks across the borders, we're instead sitting down next face-to-face with Vladimir Putin, and we're signing a deal. And by May 26, 2025, there's still no war in Ukraine. Millions of people who would have died are still alive. Which universe do you want to live in? That's a genuine question. Personally, I would want to live in the universe where millions of people, billions of dollars were not lost. And I think that's the same sort of choice that we can make here with Taiwan. We can either come up with a let's call it what it is, folks. The deal of deals. Okay, I'm the deal master. No, but really, I am the master of deals because I think we can do a perfect trade deal and a perfect deal with Taiwan over with China that respects Taiwan's unique, I want to say, culture and even some of their political system. You know, maybe Taiwan as a special administration, as a special administrative region of China, can be something like, I don't know, they can have their own president or like pseudo president, and maybe they keep the Guomindang and invite them into the government. Like, there's multiple things we can do here. Ultimately, um, the way I see it, and this is my take for how we should conduct ourselves with China, is however China wants to internally administer itself in respects to Taiwan is okay, provided it ensures long-term regional stability and economic growth. So, like, I want to be clear about something. If we sign a deal with China and China's like, okay, I'm going to immediately start genociding all the people who live in Taiwan and we're going to do Gaza to them. Like, I would be against that because, one, the moral reason, but also the practical reason. Because now, okay, what's going to happen to Taiwan? Now you're going to have insurgents. Now you're going to have to deal with, assassinations. It's going to be tremendously costly, tremendously disruptive to trade. You'll have like Taiwanese terrorists lobbing missiles at Wuhan and trying to knock down the Three Gorges Dam. Goddamn it! Trying to do like a terrible, terrible crime against humanity there. But like honestly, that's what I don't want to happen. I don't want I do support economic growth, peace, and stability. I don't support China blowing all that up. I don't want war. I want peace. I don't want economic disruption. I want economic growth because we are in a global world. We live in a globalized economy. We have to admit that. And while we can say we want something different, we can talk about autarky. We can talk about different forms of policies of economics. But ultimately, no. When it comes down to it, we live in a globalized world. And we will never shift from a non-globalized world to a globalized world or vice versa overnight. All of these transformations take decades to accomplish. Like, getting to a globalized world, you know how that started? It started over here in South America and in Mexico. It started with Spain going to these places, genociding the population, stealing their gold and their silver, and sending it back to the homeland. The homeland, which then spent all that money and all that silver and all that gold buying German mercenaries and English wool and Dutch wool. And that, folks, that's capitalism. What I've just described to you right there is a 60-second describer on what capitalism is, how it actually functions, how it began, basically. It began as a process of Spanish and Portuguese, and then later French and English, European domination of the New World to extract material resources and also slaves from Africa, all working as a system to create the economic modes of production that we see thusly. And if you understand all of this, if you understand world history, then all of these, then you start to understand a little bit more, I think, of how the world that you currently live in and that you currently inhabit actually exists and actually functions. Um, because I think one thing to keep in mind that's very important, right? And when thinking about Russia and Ukraine and all these things, is that all of these problems, all these problem areas in the world, they are solvable problems. Um, I'm not saying that the problems are going to be easy to solve or like, you know, we're going to have a good time solving them, but I think that we can do it. I honestly do think that it is within our power to challenge. You know, screw it. We're coming up on 3 hours. I do want to go back to Oblivion, and I am going to go back to Oblivion, but first, let me, yeah, screw it. Like, same thing with Iran. You know, we can sign a nuclear deal with Iran tomorrow. We just have to guarantee them enrichment. Not a bomb, enrichment. Because what the Trump administration is currently trying to do with Iran, and it's very stupid, is that they are trying to have Iran basically be forced to buy uranium from American suppliers or American adjacent suppliers. But that's stupid because they have their own domestic enrichment facility that they invested a lot of money and time into getting right. So, and I'm not saying again that they should have enrichment capable facilities, but I do think that they have, I mean, they can follow the non-proliferation treaty. There's a ton of countries that refine their own uranium for civilian use, and I think it's totally valid that they have a nuclear program for that purpose. I don't support them having a nuclear weapon, to be clear, because I don't support any country having a nuclear weapon. I think that nuclear weapons should be banned, or if we're going to have nukes at all, it has to be under the United Nations, and it has to be something that all 5 permanent members of the Security Council agree to use. We need to end this goddamn nuclear stalemate where it's like a standoff where I'm going to shoot you, and I'm also going to shoot myself, and I'm going to shoot everyone else. Like, it's insane. And the fact that we live in this world where there are just so many nukes in the world, it's a disgrace. And I think, like, well, first, we got to get all the countries in compliance with the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Okay, I would like to make an amendment. Chelsea does get a nuke as a little treat. I think I also want a nuclear weapon, ultimately. I want a Metal Gear. I deserve a Metal Gear. But no. So, yeah, I want to target all the countries that have nuclear warheads presently. And so that would be, have nuclear warheads but have not signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So they're in violation of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Again, no country should have a nuke, but these countries especially should not have nukes. India, Pakistan, North Korea, and lastly, the genocidal colonial state of Israel. Yes, Israel has nukes. Israel has had nukes for goddamn 50 years. They got them from South Africa. They got them from Germany. Or no, sorry, they got them from France. Well, part of it from Germany too. And yeah, they tested a nuke somewhere over here, or it was in this area in the Indian Ocean in 1975. And it's confirmed that both South Africa. Oh yeah, Sahelanthropus. Give me that Sahelanthropus. Endorse. So yeah, South Africa was a nuclear power itself. It also possessed nukes alongside Israel. But then they were like, well, we got to end apartheid. But we don't want Nelson Mandela to have nukes. So we're going to get rid of all our nukes. Then we're going to get rid of apartheid. Can you guys imagine Israel doing the same thing? Like, Benjamin Netanyahu just deciding, okay, we had a nice run of it. We had a nice little go at genocide. We're gonna give up all our nukes, and so then Palestinian Nelson Mandela can take over the throne. We're gonna give Mahmoud Abbas all of Israel, and you can have fun with it. Uh, I laugh because no, of course not. Israel is never going to do that, and if Israel does do that, it's because the situation on the ground has changed so dramatically. Like, and it is possible. Like, their economy is in free fall, and they're having a very terrible time with everything. So it is possible, and if basically Israel, everyone's fled Israel, and there's no economy and there's no army, then it doesn't matter what F-35s they have. Like, if you're literally in Jordan and there's no army, you can just literally boop, walk over and take it. And if that's going to happen, Israel, in that case, might be like, all right, that Samson option that we keep talking about, where we're like, we're going to nuke the entire world because if the Samson option, it's the option where if Israel is ever under significant threat, we will just nuke the world. I don't want to be, well, I can be pessimistic and say, yeah, they're going to do it. But I want to be optimistic a little bit and say, no. I think in between killing the world, not killing the world, I think there's enough, in that scenario, there would be enough rational people left. Because hear me out. In that scenario, let's say all the Israelis who are living in there, to be specific, I don't think the Israeli Palestinians would leave, or Israeli Arabs. But I do think that all other peoples, well, the Druze might stay as well, but all the other peoples might leave. In which case, do you click the Samson option button then? Because a lot of those people are Jewish. And if you kill 100 million people as the final act, as quote unquote the Jewish state, I don't think it would be very good for the world's remaining Jews. But who knows? Maybe it's not some guy who's like, fuck it. Who's like, I'm gonna quit this genocide. I'm gonna just give up all my nukes. What if instead of that guy, it's I don't know, evil super Benjamin Netanyahu? Like, imagine Benjamin Netanyahu, but he's worse. It's just a horrible thing to think about. And I'm sorry for that thought. Drop thought. I want to do it because I got me a drop thought. Hawk Tua is dying. Oh no, that's terrible.